Please welcome a Samurai. What is up, guys? It's Fishwash, and today we take a closer look at Samurai and Samurai's band members. If you have not yet subscribed, consider subscribing for more. Okay, so I've already done a Johnny backstory, which you guys can watch over here. This leaves us with Kerry, Nance, Denny, and Henry. One of the reasons I put all of these guys together is because there isn't too much on them individually, and since they were all together at one point in time, I figured why not do a Samurai backstory. Let's start this off with the band itself. Samurai started with just Carrie and Johnny. During their early years, Samurai would play gigs in bars and clubs all around Night City. For example, in the game, we see Johnny leaving a place called The Hammer right before he goes to nuke the Arasaka Tower. Johnny also tells us of a place called Rainbow Cadenza, which is now a ramen shop in Japantown. Sorry, Johnny. You know, they did what typical startup rock bands would do. Play their hearts out in small places until they get noticed. And on one fateful night, sometime in 2004, after playing a gig, they were approached by Jack Masters, an executive at Universal Music. And just like that, they were signed and off on tours. Unfortunately for us, we don't get to know when or how Denny, Nance, or Henry joins the group. We just have to assume for now that the record label found them for the sake of Samurai. The band, honestly, they hit the ground running. As we see in the game, they become a household name. However, things were not always smooth sailing. I mean, with Johnny as part of the band, there is no guarantee. Kerry and Johnny would always butt heads. The arguments would be heated enough that Kerry actually tried to leave the band a few times. What some of you guys might not know is it was actually Nance that caused the band's first breakup. In 2008, Nancy was sentenced to jail for throwing her abusive husband out of their apartment window, which was on the 83rd floor. She was just not having none of that. Nance was sentenced to 7 months in jail time, and it was during this time that each of the members kind of did their own things for a while until they officially got back together from 2020 until 2023. Why 2023? Well, this was before, Johnny does his thing. And there you have it, a quick and brief summary of Samurai. There isn't much on the band as a whole. We get to see how people react to the band. There's that one crazy old dude who is a fanatic of Samurai. Other than that, it's just Samurai is just kind of thrown out there as a legendary band, almost like how if I was to say bands like AC/DC, Rolling Stones, like people will know of them, especially like it's kind of dying out now, but we just know that they are legends, and that's all there is to it. And that's the way Samurai is portrayed in the video games. So now let's move on to the band members. Since we already talked about Johnny, let's move on to Carrie. This man's got that swag. He plays the rocker boy part real nice. Like Johnny, he wanted to change the world with his music. Of course, we all know Johnny goes batshit crazy with his plans, and Carrie, on the other hand, did things a little bit more normal. Well, as normal as a rocker boy living in Night City can be. During his time with Samurai, Carrie was in constant flux. Should he stay or should he go? This was because of the dynamic he and Johnny shared. He even tried to leave the band a few times. However, he wasn't able to launch a solo career just quite yet. It was after Johnny's disappearance that eventually helped propel his solo career. Honestly, while playing the side quests for Carrie, I realized just how important Johnny was to the man. Not in a romantic kind of way. Maybe it's never really said if Carrie felt that way about Johnny. But yeah, anyways, I always saw it more like Johnny was the yin to Carrie's yang. Even though they fought constantly, they were best friends. They started Samurai together, for crying out loud. Oh my God. Just imagine your BFFL right now. You guys don't always get along, but what's important is that you guys got each other's back. The point of being best friends is not always agreeing with each other, but rather it's to challenge each other's ideals and push them forward. Hashtag in my feels. But the fact that Carrie almost instantly wants to play a gig with V, knowing Johnny is technically back, is proof of how much Johnny means to Carrie. His career was a success after Samurai disbanded, but he was more than ready to do one last gig with Samurai. Playing through the side quests, we constantly got Johnny cameos, talking about how Carrie is growing up. Like he's taking things into his own hands. He's willing to get his hands dirty and do shit the old-fashioned way. In some way, Johnny seemed proud of how his best friend is handling things later in his life. I won't go into all the details of what he does. You guys are probably seeing that in the video right now. But it's just interesting to note that Kerry seemed like he was missing his brother. And now that Johnny is back, he's out here doing things knowing his best friends got his back. And of course, so is V. It's just really cool to see both Johnny and Kerry's dynamic. They're the type of people that would never admit how much they needed each other, but it's through their snarky remarks we get to see that they really did care for one another.
Who'd you sign with?
Shit. With Arasaka. Mornings, I record at their studio. Then evenings, Yori pops over for a little neighborly cookout.
Speaking of caring for each other, if you are playing as a male V throughout the side quest, you eventually have the option to romance Carrie. This honestly isn't that hard. You just gotta make sure you help Carrie do his side quest. The most important part of this romance is that you just have to do your best to make sure that Carrie doesn't leave his first meeting with us cracks, you know, the crazy Powerpuff Girls group. You gotta make sure he doesn't leave mad. Find the correct dialogue to end that side quest peacefully, and you'll set yourself up for more side quests with our boy Carrie. Eventually, you'll get the option of kissing Carrie while in a more private setting in one of the side quests. Next up, we have Nance or Best Isis. This woman right here was pretty close to Johnny Crazy. Like I said, she served time for pushing her husband out of a skyscraper. Albeit, he was abusive, so maybe he had it coming. In the group, Nance was a type of woman who just gets shit done. Johnny even jokingly says, just whisper Mikoshi in her ear, and she'd probably find that too.
Got something for you. Don't know if you know, but once upon a time, this was Silverhand's.
Fuck, Nancy just gets shit done. She just whispered Mikoshi in her ear. We'll be all set.
In the game, she is also known as Best Isis. After completing some of Carrie's side quests, you are able to finish the Bartmoss Collective mission, which required you meeting Bess or Nancy. It was never explained why she changed her name. All we know is that she did so after her release from jail. From there, she became a prominent voice in the media as part of Network 54. She made a name for herself for her willingness to cover stories that no one else would dare cover. We see this when she is questioning Royce in the Tontans. Tontans, how do you even say it? Tontans? While most reporters would steer way clear of the Maelstrom gang altogether. Man, how do you actually say that? Tontans. That's terrible.
And we won't have history repeating itself, damn it!
Lastly, we have Denny and Henry. I put these two together because they have the least amount of info, and well, they were at one point in time an item. Denny and Henry dated for some time. It was not clear exactly when, but we do know this happened after Samurai disbanded. Denny joined a band called Mastermind after her stint with Samurai. Again, not clear how long this lasted. All we know is that before the Samurai reunion, we get a little bit more about Denny and Henry's rocky relationship. The last step before playing one last gig with Samurai, V is tasked with choosing between Denny or Henry. In the mission, we see that Henry has gone full-on crazy by pouring cement in Denny's pool. Of course, Henry found this whole thing amusing while Denny was about to knock him out with a golden baseball bat. At the end of all this, it doesn't matter who you pick. It doesn't matter if you pick Denny or Henry. Carrie will just find a replacement for the missing band member regardless. If you chose Denny to play with the band, you have the optional dialogue with her that explains her past. She lets us know about how she helped out Henry. You see, the man was a druggie and he couldn't find a stable job. It was Denny who got him into another band, but it only lasted about 1 month until Henry was back to his old druggy ways. Thankfully, Denny was smart enough to dump his butt and move on to better things. It's honestly hard to believe that there is a rocker girl as good as Denny. I mean, we don't get much, but she seems like she got her head on right. Like, between all the band members, she just seems the most grounded. She didn't kill Henry, something that Nance probably would have done. When it comes to emotional stability, she also seems better off than Carrie or Henry. Of course, there's Johnny, but he's on another level of messed up. Just really ironic that she is surrounded by all this bad influence, and yet here she is, still all good. But yeah, there you have it. That is it for the Band of Samurai and its members. Honestly, it's been a lot of fun covering these characters. Of course, Johnny is, like, out of all of them, the legend. So yeah, he's kind of the diva of the group. And Nance, or Best Isis, kind of says this. I don't remember exactly when, but she does make mention that it was really between Carrie and Johnny, and everyone else in the band was just kind of an add-on. They were just there to play their parts, and that was it. And while you play the side quests and play the missions, even when you read through the source books, you feel this way, that a lot of the context of Samurai was built heavily upon Carrie and Johnny, which is, I guess, right, because if you think of other groups, like if I can just name like NSYNC, for example, you're thinking Justin Timberlake. I don't even know all the other guys' names. I just know the group name, and then I know Justin Timberlake. Same thing with Beyonce and her group. I forgot. Yeah, I don't even know the group's name, but there's just an example of it. Like, it happens in real life, and that's, I think, what happened with Samurai. Samurai, you think Johnny Silverhand. Of course, there is Kerry attached to it, but he did his own career that lasted for many years later, whereas Johnny kind of went out with a bang after he nuked the Arasaka Towers. So I think that's how the world remembers Samurai, or the cyberpunk world anyway, and it just makes a lot of sense in my opinion. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think that Samurai, if Johnny wasn't so messed up, could have lasted for many, many more years? Or were they going to go down the drain eventually anyways? That is it for me in this video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure you click that thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!